For a fair and balanced debate, we're joined by Gretchen Hamel, Executive Director of Public Notice. Chris Kofinis is former Chief of Staff to Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, and it's always fun to have you both on. So what about it, Gretchen? The president says that ad is flat out wrong. What do you say?
Well, I don't think the president's words were taken out of context. If you look at the entirety of the speech, you can see that this is becoming more of a pattern of President Obama. I mean, you have to look back at the Julia infographic that they had earlier this year suggesting that women need the help of government in every phase of their life. So this is a pattern that we're seeing, and it gives a greater insight into what the president actually thinks, and that is the government has a role in our everyday lives, and that the government is the one who can create jobs and make things happen. And I think that 59% of business owners who disapprove of Obama have a difference in opinion on that.
Is that how he sees it, Chris? Government first, private enterprise second?
No, that is exactly not how he sees it. I mean, it's interesting to me when Republicans criticize the president about government intervention in the size of government when you had an explosive government under the Bush administration for 8 years. Putting that fact aside, I mean, if you look at specifically the comments that we're talking about, they were taken out of context. Now, is politics fair? No, this is a tough business, and when you say something, you're going to be held accountable to it, whether it's right or wrong, and that's, that happens on both sides. But if we're talking honestly and openly about what the president said, he was referring to roads and bridges, and the reality that we, no matter who we are, do not operate as an island in this country, that we do rely on government to build roads and build bridges and invest in schools. That is not a bad thing. That is a good thing, and that is what most Americans believe. And so in terms of what I think the president is doing to respond, I think it's good. I think it's smart to kind of disabuse it. But this is the nature of politics, and this is what we're going to see probably for the next 4 months, these two sides, beating up each other.
But in Gretchen, in the president's words talking about, oh, you think you're so smart because you built a business. Yep. It did seem to be sort of holding up the glories of the state, I guess, as opposed to the efforts of the individual.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's go back to that sentence right before that you were talking about. He was talking about people think they're so smart, that their hard work is what made this business happen. It is what made this business happen, and that is directly what this comment was about. It was about businesses and the lack that the president believes that it's individuals who makes this happen. And hey, yes, it is true. And you can, and I want to take issue with your point that the government builds roads. Yes, the government does build roads, but it does it because taxpayers fund it, and it's taxpayers and small businesses and businesses alike that allow those tax dollars to build it.
And the reason why you have government playing a role is because individuals cannot do it themselves. This is not to say that government should do everything. It shouldn't. It shouldn't be that government should be a crutch for individuals. It shouldn't. But the notion that you'll have, apparently yourself, that government should have no role to play, it has nothing to do in society, that's just fantasy. It is not the reality that we live in.
You are totally, listen, I am from a pioneer family from Oklahoma. Everyone in my family is a small business owner, and they got there because of their will,
and my family is a small business owner, so I understand that as well.
And let me tell you, the government does have a role to play, but it's not the role that this president wants it to play. It's a role that is expanding, overreaching, and the American public does not want that.
You're talking about backgrounds in small business. Is there anything in the president's background that suggests he knows how to operate a small business? Has he ever done a payroll?
Good question.
Well, listen, look at the record of the president since he's come in. Just take one example in terms of the auto bailout. And a big distinction between what Republicans and Governor Romney would have done and what the president did. Now, you may disagree about whether he should have done that, but how many countless of small businesses were saved because the auto bailout happened, because those automakers are still around? Not only tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of employees and small business owners are around. Those restaurants, all those different businesses that depended on those factories. Now,
Chris,
is that important?
59%,
was that irrelevant?
Out of Gallup this morning, 59% of business owners, period, disapprove of the president because he has made life harder on them. He has made it harder for them to actually do business. So you can talk about him going and saving things with taxpayer dollars all you want, but the facts show people don't appreciate it.
If you want to be fair and balanced, look at the record, and the record of the president in terms of taxes.
You can look at the record.
All right.
And the record is that we have a sagging economy that hasn't come back because businesses feel that
much
government
lower
is
than
getting in the way.
Republicans have.
We
That is the fact.
got to say goodbye on that one. Chris, you didn't answer my question, but maybe next time. Thanks very much.
I think I did.
Well, the question was about does the president have a small business background, but anyway.
No.
Chris
I'm not
Kofinis,
sure
Gretchen
that,
Hamel.
listen, that is